So, hello everyone. My name is Dave. I hope you guys are safe wherever you are, and I hope you guys could complete the first project, which was due a while ago. And this video is going to be talking about some of the concepts you need to know for the future projects to come, and to also complete your second lab. And the main topics which are going to be covered in this unit are intents and activity life cycles. So before we start with the new material, I'd like to go over the previous material which we've already gone through. And that would be a recap of views and recycler views. And there are five basic views uh, which you will be using almost throughout this course, and they are text views, edit text, buttons, image views, and image buttons. And they're pretty self-explanatory. Text views display text, edit text let you enter text, and buttons are clickable views which allow you to perform a certain activity by clicking them. And image views allow you to display an image, and image buttons allow you to base image buttons basically operate like buttons but have a fancy image on them so that they look good. And layouts, so there are two basic layouts you need to know for the majority of the course, and they are linear layouts and relative layouts. Linear layout is something like this. Things are aligned one after the other, are and in this particular image they are aligned one after the other, centered at the center. As you can see, everything is centered at the in the middle. And linear layouts are used in things like recycler views, or and lists to order things and stuff like that. As you must have seen in your first project in the Flickster app, that you had to order a list of 20 movies in a recycler view, one after the other, and that's what linear layouts are good at. And relative layouts are one of the easiest layouts to work with. It's basically where the views which you add to the layout are grouped together in view groups, and you can arrange these views relative to each other or relative to a parent view. Like you can see in this image below, in this image over here, that view 1 is positioned relative to view 2 and the upper edge of the screen and the left hand edge of the screen, and so on. You can see view 3 is positioned relative to view 2 and the right edge of the screen, and stuff like that. And relative layouts are one of the most easiest layouts to work with, and you will be using them quite frequently throughout this course. So there are two ways to sort of design your screen. One is using the design tab in Android Studio, and one is using the text tab. And sometimes it can definitely be much easier to work with the text tab than the design tab. And here you can see that a text view is used to set the text color and to set the layout to be center horizontal, as you can see over here. And also, it has also been uh, specified here that the text of the text view would be hello world and stuff like that. So it's good to remember some of these basic commands like layout width, text, uh, text color, and stuff like that. They can go a long way in making your life easier in creating good designs. And this will come with time. Click handlers. So click handlers are basically what happens when you click a particular button. So there are two ways to handle these clicks. One is through the XML layout and one is through code. And here it shows how you can sort of handle this through the XML layout. So uh, there is this button which has an ID called button1, and when you click the button, the method called method name in this case would be invoked. And you can do the same thing via code as well. As you can see over here, that there is a button which I have fetched and cast it to my button variable over here using find view by ID. And I have set an on-click listener on this button such that when I click the button, I log in my debugger that I have tapped this button by, you know, printing out tapped to the console or to the debugger. Now let's go over recycler views. Recycler views are going to be used in almost every project you do in this course, and that is why they are super important to know. But don't worry if you are not able to grasp the idea of recycler views as of now. It will come with time as you sort of use them in every project, and that'll help you wrap your head around the idea of recycler views. So what are recycler views? Recycler views are uh, allow you to display things in a linear order such that of such that last after the last after the last view goes out of the screen, it goes back up right on top, so that that view can be reused for the other uh, things that need to be displayed. And a recycler view has basically three components to it. One is the adapter, one is the view holder, and one is the layout manager. So the adapter provides the views for the recycler view to display. The view holder will hold the views. It will do things like your find view by IDs to the different text views and the image views and the different uh, data you want to display in your layout. And the layout manager will decide how to position the views. So recycler views don't need to be in a linear layout fashion, but they are mostly used and mostly seen in a linear layout. And we are going to mostly deal with them in linear layouts in this course. So this is a very good pictorial representation of how the recycler view works. So you get data from your API, your external library stuff, your external API, and here it's images of different destinations, I guess. Like you can see the Eiffel Tower and the Buckingham Palace right here. So what it does is that it takes data from the data source. You put it in the adapter. Uh, the adapter then gives the data to the view holder so that it can put the respective data in the respective place. So it would put the image in the image view and the text in the text view right here. So that's the view holder's job. And then the recycler view will sort of display each of these view holder objects, the image view and the text view as a unit, as one row in the recycler view. And then you can sort of have that scrolling feature to your recycler view where each of these things are shown in an orderly manner like this. So a view holder, what does the view holder do? So as I said before, that the view holder holds all of your views as the name suggests. And oh, I'm sorry, this is the adapter, my bad. So what does the adapter do? It creates your view holder. This usually involves inflating a layout from your XML and returning the holder. So what you will basically be doing is that you'd be inflating an an XML layout of yours. Here, the layout was just an image view and a text view. And so what you'll be doing is that you'd be creating that, you'd be inflating that so that the adapter knows that, oh, there is this layout and it has these two components to it which need data. And and on bind view holder, what that does is basically it populates the data to the respective views. So it would give the text view to the text view, it would give the text to the text view and the image to the image view. And get item count returns the total count of items in the list, and this list is the list of things in your data source. So as I was trying to explain before, each row is a view holder and it acts as a unit. And the view holder contains view objects like text views and image views. So the layout which you inflated over here, which includes these two things, the image view and the text view, is shown as one unit in your recycler view as you scroll up. Okay, so that was a quick recap of what was there before, what we covered before, and now is I'm going to go to the second part of this video, and the quiz content starts here. So please be aware of that. So what is an activity life cycle? So an activity life cycle is the various states your activities can be in in your particular app. So there are various states it can be in: on create, on start, on restart, on resume, on pause, on stop, and on destroy. But and there is this super complicated diagram over here, but you only need to remember four of these life cycles, and they are the on create, on resume, on pause, and on destroy. These are the things we'll be majorly dealing with. And the one you must be most familiar with, or you must have at least seen, is the on create life cycle. So what the on create function does is that it is called when the activity is shown for the first time to the viewer. So when the when the user, sorry, starts up the app and an activity pops up for the first time, that is when the on create method is called. So what you would usually do in your on create method is do the necessary preliminary setup for displaying your activity and for the necessary functions of that activity. So what does the preliminary setup entail? One of the things you could do is fetch your views using find view by ID, and that is almost always done in the on create method of any application. And what is on resume? So on resume is called after on create. So once you've opened up a particular activity in the app and uh, the on create method has been called, you call the program, Android Studio calls on resume automatically for your application, and this is how the user will be able to interact with your application. So this means that the user will be able to click on buttons, will be able to do will yeah will be able to click on buttons and will be able to scroll if there's a recycler view on there and stuff like that, and it will stay in the state until it goes to a different screen, until the user goes to a different screen, and will also get back to the state if the user comes back from a different activity or from a different application to this particular activity. So unlike the on create method, on resume can be called again and again and multiple times. The on pause method, so an activity goes into the state when you navigate away from this activity. That means you go to some other application or you go to another activity in the app. And when you get back to this activity, then it goes to the on resume state. And when you leave the activity again, it goes to the on pause state. So these sort of work hand in hand. And on destroy is called most of the time when your device, your Android mobile space to needs to free up space, so it kills any activity which is not being used. And so you don't need to really worry about how to use these functions, because most of these functions like on resume, on pause, on destroy, you won't really have to deal with them. you, these are the, you could say, inner workings of Android Studio, and the main thing you really need to know is on create, that you need to do your necessary preliminary setup over here, and that means that you got to do your find view by IDs over here. So what's a parser library? So one of the things, as I said before, in the activity lifecycle, you are going to move from screen to screen, right? And sometimes that might entail that you need to move data from a particular activity to another activity to display the data over there. So let's say in your Flickster application, right, you clicked on a particular uh, row on your recycler view. So you needed to sort of send some data to the other activity displays displays all of the components in that particular row in greater detail, right? So let's say if your row had an a small poster image of the movie and the name of the movie, and if you clicked on that row, you would get the image of the movie, the name of the movie, the name of the director, the name of the runtime, and stuff like that. So you need to send that extra data over to the other activity, and that is a problem which is solved by parcellers. And you can create your own parceller class, but that is a little tedious, and you can also get into a lot of difficulties and a lot of complications by doing that. So it's best to use the parceller library, which is not provided, which you have to uh, import into Android Studio. So what is parcelable? Parcelable will help you pass data between different components of your application, that is different screens, and or other applications. So if you need to open up some other app on your phone, like the camera or something. So to send data between these different screens and different applications, parceller is pretty useful. And I'll get to this part in a bit because we need to go over what intents are. So when I say we want to move from one screen to another, well, how do we actually do that? We do that using intents. So we create what is an intent object? It's a way of saying that I intend to do something, like I intend to start a new activity. And this is how you would go about doing that. You would create an intent object. So here I've created an intent object called start new activity intent, and it has two parameters. The intent constructor, that is the first activity, that is the activity you're currently in. It's called first activity, and that activity you want to go to, that's the second activity dot class. And then the you want to start the activity of going. You want to start the new activity, and you want to pass this intent object in it. And sometimes we would want to attach some extra data to these intent objects to send to the other screen. And that's where parcellers can be really useful as well. And this is how you would do it without using a parceller. And you would use the put extra method, and that would require a key to do so. So how to add the parceller library? So you need to add the @parcel, the parcel signature at the top of your model class, the class which you want to send through an intent to another activity, like the object of the class you want to send. And this is how you would do it. You would create an intent object, and in your put extra, you would put the key, and the and you would wrap your model object using a parceller. And the key is going to be something by which you would call this object, what you would call this object which you're wrapping around. And you would go to the second activity where you are going to be receiving this intent, and you are going to unwrap that parcel, and you're going to extract your key, which is your model object. And this is a good diagram which sort of shows how things work out. You create an intent, you fire up an intent, an intent, and that helps you go to the second activity. And as I said, I would come back to this slide. So this is how you would wrap a parcel. You would use the put extra method, and you would sort of give a name to the model object which you are wrapping, and he's called it user here. Here the programmer has called it user, as that is the name of his object. And he has wrapped that and started the intent. And in the other activity, the programmer has unwrapped that using parcel again, using parcels.unwrap. So this was the main sort of conceptual part which you need to know for this lab and for future assignments which you'll have to do. And let me sort of show you how the lab is structured in Android Studio. So this is the lab in Android Studio. What you got to do is basically there is an open activity. So this is your landing page, and this is how it sort of looks like. Let me open it up real quick. Yeah, and this is your landing page which says welcome to book search, and you click the next button. And what this next button should do is fire up an intent. Of course, first you'd have to set an on-click listener, and then it fires up an intent once clicked, and it goes to the book list activity, which is your recycler view of the list of books you're going to see. And in this book list activity, you're going to have to use intents to send information to the book detail activity, which is fired up when you click on a particular row of this book list activity. So that means that there's a recycle view in here, and there is a set of instructions here which is pretty clear. And then you go to the book detail activity, and here all you have to do is just fetch the three views which are in the uh, XML file, that is the IV book cover, TV title, and TV author. And then after you do that, you will be able to see, you will have an app which is a book search app, where it provides like 15 or 20 books written by Oscar Wilde, and you can click on each of those books, and it gives you information of, it gives you the book cover and the information of the author and the name of the book and stuff like that. So that's it from my side. I hope you guys stay safe, and I hope you guys are able to cope up with your academics and stuff like that, because these are some uncertain times. And thank you very much for listening to this video. I hope you guys have a great day.